before we start, I need to switch over from an 18 to a 10 speed, because that's what we have in here. So we're just going to go 18 full or 10 speed. Everything else is fine. Cool. Alright, so now we should be set. If I... Yes, cool. Alright. And then that should... Yes. Perfect. Oh, pardon me. Okay, coffee. Okay, perfect. There we go. Alright. Now, I do know most people that play ATS, especially with a wheel and shifter and stuff like I do, probably already know all, if not most of this, that I'm going to go through and explain and go over and show. Like, I'll even, like, for shift patterns and stuff, I'll even pull my camera down and hopefully get that to just flip over, because it is just really my phone. And so for the patterns, we can see, you know, what gears where and stuff like that. But I wanted to start out with a 10 speed, and then we'll just work our way up to a 13, and then an 18 is actually a something that's been suggested to me a couple times, like off stream by like friends and such. So, I mean, like, to be fair, a lot of them don't really know how to drive an 18 speed or a 13 or a 10 speed, like, don't know how to drive a big rig. So that's what I want to do. I want to explain it, go through it, show it, and I'm using a International Prostar as my demonstration vehicle. Just literally the only thing I did to it, other than change the motor, is I painted it and I changed the steering wheel. That's it. Like, I haven't even actually adjusted the in-cab settings yet, so but yeah, let's jump in. We'll turn the truck on here. Alright, here we go. We got some lights. It is still 800 horse, like my other Prostar. It's literally just a little baby, like, day cab version. Just little. But yeah, like I said, we'll start out with a 10 speed, which is quite literally just 10 speeds. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in your low range. You switch over to high range. And then you got your 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But usually this is what you'll find on the smaller trucks. Don't have quite as big motors and everything. And the gear shift is literally this. Let's see, is this gonna let me just flip it? Flip camera? Flip camera, nice, okay. Here we go. Is that actually working? And okay, that's going. Okay. Oh. Here we go, that works. Okay. This is not going to be the nicest with that plate there on the shifter. But basically you've got, use 6 gates. So these N2 don't really matter at all. So we don't need to worry about those in any of them. But to start, if we go over and then up, that's our reverse. If we go over and down, that's first. And then second, third, fourth, and fifth. And then if we switch to higher range here, let me hit the button on my wheel, because my dumb butt broke my shift knob, so I can't just hit my high range here. But then we go back to basically where first was, and that is now 6th. And then you keep going. So second would be 7th, third would be 8th, fourth would be 9th, and fifth would be 10th. So it's literally a little bit weirdly oriented 5-speed, just doubled on top of itself. That's pretty much what most of these 3 transmissions are. Like when we get to the other 2, they're pretty much a 4-speed that's doubled over on itself. That's really all it is. This one is just a weird 5s, because usually you would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, reverse. But here, reverse is where first would be. So it pushes first to where second is. So, but yeah, that's driving the 10, and I'll actually, okay, we're in high range, let's put us back in low range. So I'm gonna start off in first, and we'll flip over here to pedal set. I'm currently foot all the way in on the clutch. So I'm basically just gonna slowly ease up on the clutch, and we slowly start crawling. Okay. So if we stop, and then I give it a slight rev of the gas, and then just as slowly come off the clutch as you go, and then we start moving, and then you just come off the clutch. And with an 18 speed, a 13 speed, or a 10 speed, pretty much any big rig, you can float gears. So we'll get up, and actually I'll leave this down here for a second. But we'll get up and go in a little bit here. I'll hit about, well, in this it'll be different depending on the truck and depending on the motor. But this one, I'll hit about 2,000 RPM, so about that 20 mark. And then I'm going to let off and up into second. I didn't want to catch, so we give it a little rev to give it the RPM to go into second. But, and then we just ease on the gas again, rev ourselves back out. Let off, shift. And then we're just back on, keep going. Now, point of view from shifter, when flip over there. Okay, let's get through the gas pumps here real quick. Okay, so like we're in third right now. Downshift a second. We'll actually just stop. Okay. So basically from the shifter point of view, as we let off, release, rev up a tiny bit. Once we get up to our RPM and we let off the gas, we just, and then up into second. Rev up again, into third. And you do this all the way up till you hit fifth, and then in an actual truck with a working shift knob. Right, so like if we look at the shift knob here, I've got my high range and my high range, low range selector, and then I've got a splitter on the side. basically once you would go up and you hit 5th gear, so we'll put it in 5th real quick, but you would just flick this up, and then when you go from 5th to 6th, you just 5 to 6. And keep going from there. So you go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And okay. High range because I hit that button. Back in lower range, okay. Oh. Apparently I'm in this guy's way. We're gonna move real quick. Oops. My bad. Sorry. Arm in the way. Everything in the way. Okay. But, yeah. There's the basics and rundown crash course of a 10-speed. It's just a weirdly oriented 5-speed is all it really is. With first being down here instead of up top. Up top is reverse. Although, through all 3 transmissions that we're going over, reverse is in the same spot for all 3. It is over and up. That'll be the same for a 10, a 13, or an 18. Yeah, that's our 10 speed basically covered. Let's take a look here. Yeah, okay. This is why I wanted to stay close to the shop. So when we're done with one, and then go to switch to the other one. I need an extra stand for this thing for my shifter or something. Like darn. Okay, so let's come up and oh, come on. There we go. Okay. We're going to quickly shut that off and then flip this back. Put this up for a second. Okay. Alright. And because we actually got to change stuff, we gotta shut the truck down. So now we'll go in and we'll switch it from a 10. 18. There is a 13. Perfect. 13 with a retarder. And then confirm. So basically once you switch that, then you just need to go into options, go to controls, scroll down till you get to your H shifter here. And then basically same spot, we switched it to a 10 speed. We're going to switch it now to a 13 speed. And then we can back out. Now we should be set for a 13. So now this will be, instead of first in the bottom, like all the way to the left and then down, instead of that being first like it was in a 10 speed, it's now low. Which is effectively the same thing, but these ones use it to help get going when they're really weighed down. So usually it doesn't get used, people just go to first, which is where second would be in a 10 speed. And yeah, the difference between the 10 and then the 13 and 18 is the 10 is basically a 5 on top of each other, whereas the 13 and 18, like I said earlier, are a 4-speed transmission sandwiched on top of each other. So like you have 6 gates still, that's the same number, it hasn't changed. But your left far 2 gates, the forward one, I'll just bring you back down. This is so much easier. Flip. Oh. Main flag. Okay. But yeah, so we're in center. This is a little bit better view. Right, so That's reverse. It's still reverse. It'll be reverse on all three, like I said. And then this is low, like just a low gear. And then you use these 4 gates. So basically you drive a 4-speed, because this one only gets used for reverse, and this one only gets used if you're usually really heavy and can't move in your higher gears. But yeah, so that is first. And 13 speeds go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you would flip your high range. Same thing as a 10 speed, right? You flip the knob on the front of the shifter, or in my case, because like I said I broke it, I click a button and then I go in, and now that's 5th gear. And then 7 or 6, 7, 8. So it's basically, by the end, with all of the gears, it's an 8-speed. It's just 4 gears, and then high range, 4 gears, same spot. But the main difference between the 13 and 18 is you can split your first 4 gears in an 18, and you can't in a 13. So if I go back to low range here, and we look, I am in 1st gear, but it only says 1. Whereas if I switch over to high range and we go to 5th, it says 5 low. And then I can hit my splitter, and we got 5 high. And it does that all the way through the high range set of gears. But you can't split your low range gears. You only have the one set of gears. That's it. And let's fire it up here. I'm not even going to worry about lights or anything anymore. But yeah, basics is you just 1st gear, same as 10 speed. That'll basically, starting off your clutch and your gas, that is across any and all standards, not just semis. That is cars, pickup trucks, semis, 2 tons like the big medium duty trucks, like any standard. It's a little bit of gas as you slowly let the clutch out. And then once you get your RPM up, you shift. The difference though is in the big 18 speeds, their transmissions are not synchronized like the little ones are, the little vehicles. Okay, hang on. Had to shift there. We were revving a little high. But yeah, now I'm in 2nd. So basically the big rigs can do a thing called floating gears. They don't need the clutch to shift. They can just basically let off the gas or give it a little bit of gas, and it will slide out and slide into gear, which is what I usually do, which is why usually you don't see me on the clutch unless I'm at a stoplight or a stop sign kind of thing. But yeah, normal little standards you would have to go through after you start. So if we get back here and start, when you get up in your RPM, you would have to clutch and then shift. Get ourselves turned here so we don't hit anything. Whereas in a big rig, you get yourself revved up and you just slowly slide out and let off the gas, and it would basically pop out and over. As long as you catch it at the right RPM and the right amount of time, it will just grab the next gear and you can keep going. Okay, does this thing have a reverse high? It does. It's not really much of an extra reverse high, but you know what? It works to get us back into here where we need to be. Alright, so yeah, you just start, get yourself going, get yourself, oh, that's like, why is this not, never mind, I'm in high range, okay, low range, first gear, right, get yourself up, get yourself started, rev up, let off, drop, up, let off, in. Third gear wants to fight with me right now, apparently. And then as for downshifting, and this will be basically all the same thing, 10, 13, 18, if you're floating gears. But you would just, basically are in neutral, just give it a tiny rev, and usually you can just in, and it'll pop into gear. Now if we get up and going a little bit here, let's go fourth gear, and then we want downshift to third, we would just neutral, rev, in. And then same thing for second, neutral, rev, and usually it'll just pop into gear. And like I said, this is 10 speed, 13 speed, 18 speed. They all should do it if you're floating gears. Okay, we're gonna quickly turn ourselves around, and then we're gonna flip our camera back. Cool. Okay. So yeah, that's 13 speed, and it's basically the same thing as an 18, except, oh, that's another thing. If you try and move and you just, like, we call it dropping the clutch, but it's when you just let off the clutch really fast. Like if I've got both here and I'm on the gas, right? Slowly revving up before I'm going, like if I've got my clutch all the way in and I just like let it off real quick, we call that dropping the clutch. Most times if you do that and you don't have the RPM or anything or momentum going to keep it going, you will just stall and your vehicle will die, as my truck just did. But we're gonna go run over to the shop real quick and swap this to an 18 speed. Well, I can show you guys that, although I mean, like I said, the only difference between a 13 and an 18 is you can split your lower gears. Okay, I don't have lights, so we just shut off. Configurator, transmission, 18 speed. Oh, right, I forgot to... Okay. Options, controls. Scroll. Nope, here we go. Eaton Fuller 18 speed. Alright, now that we're set for an 18 speed, we got an 18 speed. Let's fire it up and then, yeah. Okay, so 18 speed, same thing. Top left, far top left, reverse. Same as all of them. Your low now turns into a low. We call it a bolo. Like B-O-L-O kind of thing, like bolo. Or some people might spell it differently, but that's how I've heard it and basically seen it up here where I live. And then of course you got your 1, which now has the option to split between low and high. And it's like this for all high range, 8 gears. You have the option between low and high. That's partially how you get up to 18 speeds. So there's effectively 16 there alone. just going from 1 low to 8 high. There's effectively 16 speeds there because every speed has effectively 2 speeds. And then you get your extras from your reverse. So you got reverse 2 high, reverse 2 low, drop back to the low range here, and hit our splitter. You got reverse 1 high, and then reverse 1 low. Most trucks don't have 4 different reverse gears. Most have like 2. It'd be like your reverse, and then your reverse has its own high-low, right? So usually that would only be 2, and that would make up the other 2 gears of the 18 speed. Whereas you look at the 10 speed, and they don't really follow that. They don't really count reverse in the 10. They just have 5 speeds, high range, added 5 more speeds. Oops, my bad. Sorry, those were pretty loud. But yeah, and then yeah, you get to the 13, and it's, like I said, the same as the 18. It's an 8 speed with extra gears, but you can't split the lower gears, so that basically takes out enough gears to drop it from 18 speeds to 13 speeds. Because you lose 4 gears there plus the gear from reverse, so that's the 5 gears difference. From a 13 to an 18, it's just you don't get those gears in a 13, but you do an 18. Hence how you have the option to split every gear, and you get 4 different reverse gears, right? So, and then this actually sits somewhat properly here. Yeah, driving them, most people prefer the 18s, and they're the very popular one, just due to the fact of being able to split the first 4 gears is very helpful for heavier loads. It gives you more gear ranges, better options for whatever speed you're at for the heavy loads. So that's why a lot of heavy haulers use them, stuff like that. But for the most part, you see some trucks, especially a lot of newer trucks, stuff like the Cascadia, all that, and they go automatic, but they do still usually it's like an automatic 18 kind of thing, or you get a little weird and you go European, and they have like their most comparable one to an 18 speed is their, oh crap, what was it called? It was a ZF16. They have a ZF12 and a ZF16, and those are effectively like their versions of a 13 and an 18 speed. Like their ZF16 is pretty much mapped just like our 18 and 13, but it's weird. But yeah, no, like I was saying, I was suggested that I should do a little bit of a crash course to driving an 18 speed, driving a big rig. So I figured let's do the 3 main ones that people would drive that weren't automatic, and yeah, I figured why not use a Prostar as a little demonstration.